Hello and welcome to RMI's Advantage Manufacturing Overview. The purpose of this video is to provide insight into the manufacturing functionality that's available in our solution. We have many levels of functionality, starting with a basic kitting that allows for the assembly and disassembling of kits, through to a full MRP that will generate a plan based upon sales demand and or a forecast. And we also have a manual MRP functionality that's a step-by-step process of going through the production and sales demand in the system. This will be the focus of our video today. Let's start off by generating demand through a sales order for our customer BBH. They are looking for fence panels, 8 foot by 12 foot, and they need a dozen of them. The system is warning me that we have insufficient inventory, and I will agree to that. And our customer is looking to have them delivered on August 5th. Again, I'm being warned that we have insufficient inventory. From the sales order, I have the ability to go into the system and have it look if we are able to meet this customer's demand for our 8 foot by 12 foot fence panels. From this order promising window, I can have the system go out and look at all the components that make up the fence panel. If we don't have it in stock, it will consider the lead times. It'll also look at our production floor and see if we are capable of meeting this customer's demand. From this window here, I can see we can meet that demand and accept it from here. Before we start the manufacturing process, let's take a second and look at the item card for this item. We have 5 different costing methods: FIFO, LIFO, specific, and average, and standard. In the replenishment, you can purchase this item or run it through a production order. We'll be going through a production order process, and we will be using a production order to help capture all the components that make up that fence panel. We'll be using 8 feet of chain link fence, 2 24-inch fence poles, and 24 fence brackets. We'll also be using a routing, and a routing helps us to capture all the labor and overhead associated with the production of the fence panels. A routing is made up of work centers and machine centers. A machine center could be people and or machines that work together in a work center, such as the assembly department. On the assembly department or all the departments, we can look at capturing all the direct and indirect costs and scheduling of time as it goes through the production floor. So let's go back now and into our order planning window and allow the system to go out and check for all the demand in the system. Or I can do just production or just sales. I'll look at everything, and I have 2 orders that appear. The first order is a firm plan production order for a mesh cage. These are all the components associated with the production of that mesh cage, and the system is requiring us to create a purchase order, or I could do a production order or transfer the items from another location to meet the demand. The system is also looking for us to generate purchase orders for these vendors, for which I can override the vendor or the quantity, and then make the decision of having the system go out, make the purchase orders in print, or copy them to a purchasing requisition worksheet so that then the purchasing department can take over. I'll have the system generate making the purchase orders. And going to the purchase orders, I can see that all the components for the mesh cage are now on order. Now let's take a minute and look at our order for our customer BBH for the 8 foot by 12 foot fence panels. The replenishment system is looking for us to create a production order. As I go to the make orders, I go to the create production order, and I have the options of creating a plan, firm plan and print, or copy them to a planning worksheet. I will have the system actually create a firm plan production order. On the firm plan production order, I'll see that a starting time and ending time have been created for the production of these fence panels. I can go into the production schedule and look at how this is affecting our shop floor. As I put my cursor over the production order, I see that there's one here, production order 1009, has been started actually on 7/30 and his ending date is 7/31. As I move the cursor over the blue one, this is for our production order, which is a firm plan 1022. And I can see the production is to start on August 1st and end on August 1st for the pipe bending area. And these are all the different steps in the work centers on the production floor. As I look at the load on the production floor, I can see that I have no red areas or overloads or bottlenecks. But of course, I can change at any time. If a customer were to call and say, hey, I need that order 2 days earlier for our fence panels, I can have the system actually go out, replan the production order, and now it's telling me that I should start that production order today. Let's take a look at how that affected our shop floor. I now see red in my pipe bending and my welding areas on the shop floor. Now I know I have a bottleneck, and the way to relieve the bottleneck would be to take our production order that's been released, the release production order that was released yesterday, and move that forward. I will drag and drop that and have the system confirm that I now have relieved the production order for that date, the overload on the pipe bending area. I can now do the same for our welding area, move the order forward and relieve the bottleneck there. Now that I have released and I'm saving my changes I've made on my production schedule, I can now change the status of my planned production order and make it a release production order to the production floor. The system is confirming my action to production order firm planned 10/12, to release production order 10/12, should I say. As we go to the release production order, I can see that I am to capture all the consumption of the components, and then also the amount of time it takes to go through the production process. So let's see how we capture that, and we do that through a consumption journal for all the items, or the components, should I say, in making the fence panels. And I can override the quantities here, and then post them to the release production order. I can do the same with the output journals, but pick the release production order and have the system explode the routing, exposing each step in the routing process. Now back on our routing, we had said that each fence panel would take 15 minutes to go through the production process. We have 12 fence panels, so that would be 180 minutes if we were correct on our time. I'm actually going to make a variance here and say it actually took 200 minutes for those 12 fence panels to go through each step in the assembly department and post them back to the release production order. As I go back to the release production order, I can see now I have a finished quantity of 12. They are ready to be put into stock and delivered to our customer. So I'm going to release this, go from a release production order to a finished production order. And the system is then confirming my release production order to a finished production order 10/12. Let's go into the history and take a look at that finished production order. I can look at the statistics here. And on the statistics window, I'm seeing a variance in the actual materials that we used of 5% and another variance in the actual production time. If you remember, we actually took more time than we originally thought we would in the production of those fence panels. I can go into the costing, roll up costing worksheet here and roll up all the costs for this item that we just produced. The system now is telling me that we need to, our new standard cost is actually $276 per unit. I can make those changes in the system there and then go to our sales order and create a warehouse shipment that thus completing the demand for this order and sending it out to our customer. This concludes our overview video of the manufacturing process. If you have any questions, please give us a call at 800-252-5011 or check us out on the web at www.rmiusa.com.